So I'm Russell Miller. I'm the general manager of Ryzeo. This is part of our new series, Heroes of Ecommerce. And today we're hearing the story of how Wingstuff built itself up to greatness. It's going to go out to all our followers and hopefully give everybody some great tips and tricks, and also the history of a pretty cool business. Wim is our director of content. He'll be chatting with you guys, and I'll be kind of jumping in.
I started this a long time ago. When I was a teenager, first of all, I had my first motorcycle when I was 14 years old, and I'll tell the story as quickly as I can. But my mother forbid me to have a motorcycle at that age. When I was a kid, I kept asking for a little dirt bike motorcycle because a lot of my friends had them, and my father was fine with it, right? But my mom didn't want me to have a motorcycle. So eventually the pressure from me, because my friends had them and I really wanted a motorcycle, my uncle, my mother's brother, finally, he started taking me to the Honda shop, and I started sitting on these little motorcycles. And of course I found the one that I wanted. It was an XR75 Honda, and it was a 75cc dirt bike. And he took me there 2 or 3 times. And then I think on the 3rd or 4th visit, I'm sitting on the bike and he's like, "Do you want that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well, of course I want it." I said, I was shocked that he even said that. I thought we were just going to go see him because he knew how much I liked him. And then he started talking to the owner of the Honda shop about price. I said, "This is really happening." I couldn't believe it, right? And now I'm worried about my mother. I'm like, "What about my mom?" And my Uncle Frank was like, "Don't worry about your mom. I'll take care of your mom." I come from an Italian family, right? And, my mom is the younger sister, is the baby sister. So my uncle was very quick to say, "Don't worry about your mom." Well, easy for him to say. And anyway, he bought that bike. He put a deposit on that bike, and we went back to my house, and he told my mom about the bike. And when he did, first thing that she did was she was going to let him have it. It's like, he's not, and he's let him have the bike. All his friends have the bike. You don't want him to have the bike. Just let him have the bike. And my mom just got quiet, never said another word. It was over. That's how quick it was over. So anyway, go Uncle Frank, right? And even nowadays, we have a podcast series called Wingcast. And my Uncle Frank is 94 years old, guys, and he's still at home, and he's still pretty healthy. He's doing great. He's in Rhode Island. And we actually feature him at the end of each of our podcasts because he's a character. And we say, right out of Providence, Rhode Island, Uncle Frank. So, so Uncle Frank has a lot to do with me being where I am today, to be honest. And it's channeled down into Matt, I started this, and then Matt, of course, came on board many years ago with me. But anyway, I've always loved motorcycles. I had that little dirt bike. I later, when I turned 16 in high school, I went to work for that Honda dealership. I saw an ad in the paper, and they were advertising for parts help, but it said experience only. And this is part of the story, actually. I went down and I applied for the job because they knew me down there. I used to buy parts there, and I used to work on my own bike. And in those days, we used to do our own stuff. We learned how to do that because it was expensive. I was a kid. I didn't have a lot of money. So I'd do my own maintenance and oil changes and things like that. So anyway, I go down and I said, "I'm here to interview for the job." And the owner's mother, Suzanne, interviewed me, and she started talking to me, and she said, "Hi, how are you? I'm Suzanne." And I said, "Well, I'm Rick. Nice to meet you." I said, "I bought my bike here." She goes, "Yeah, I recognize you. You come in here, and I've seen you here before." And she says, "But, do you have experience? Because we really want somebody with experience." I said, "I read that, but I wanted to come in anyway because, I really want to learn. And I know a lot about bikes that I've, learned myself." And I said, "I would love an opportunity." And she says, "Well, I'm really sorry. We want somebody with experience." And she goes, "You seem so nice, but, I appreciate you coming in." And instead of just leaving, it's just my way. I put my hand out and I said, "Well, I just want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me." I was 16 years old, and I left, and I went home, and my mother said, "You need to call Suzanne. She called and she wants you to call her back. You have the job." I'm like, "I don't have the job." She wanted experience. She goes, "No, you have the job, and she wants you to call her." I'm confused. I call her up. I said, "Suzanne, this is Rick." She goes, "Rick, I have to tell you." She didn't even give me a chance to ask her what's going on. She says, "I have to tell you, you were the nicest person that I ever told didn't have a job. You left here." She goes, "We need that guy. We're going to hire that kid because I like his personality, and we're gonna train him. That's what we need. We need somebody that's friendly, that's nice. And listen, I'm not perfect, but I had good manners, and I did appreciate her taking the time. I got the job, so I started working, and I did that all through high school, and then summer vacations, and then when I graduated high school, I stayed and I worked there for about 11 years. And boy, I was like part of the family there. We did a lot of business. I learned so much about people, about the business. Her son that owned the business, he was the service manager at that Honda shop back when it was owned by the old owner. And then the owner retired and sold it to my boss, who was the service manager. So now he owns it along with his mom. It was family money they put in to buy this business. So his mother ran it. She was the general manager, and Jeff was the motorcycle guy. And you want to know where the owner is? He's in the back working on motorcycles. He had his hands deep in motors. He was an engine builder. He was great at building exotic cars and tuning up Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and which another thing. Later in the later years, we became a Lamborghini franchise. My boss was so into cars, and he was so renowned for his abilities to work on these cars that we ended up putting an additional showroom on the building, and we had Honda motorcycles on one side, and we were actually a franchise Lamborghini dealer on the other, which has never been duplicated ever in the world again. Honda and Lamborghini. And I'll tell you, we sold so many motorcycles because people would come from Boston and all over the place just to come and see the Lamborghinis. Before you know it, they're sitting down writing a deal for a street bike or a dirt bike. So that Lamborghini thing really fed our business. But to fast forward a little bit, I spent, a lot of years there. It snowed. There wasn't a lot of power equipment in those days from Honda, whereas nowadays in the cold climates, Honda dealers are selling Honda snowblowers, Honda generators, lawnmowers. Well, in those days, we had lawnmowers. That's about it. We didn't have much in the way of power products. So I had to wear all the hats. I was the service manager in the winter. They laid the service manager off. It was snow out. People aren't bringing bikes in. So I became the service manager. I learned how to do that job. I learned how to do warranty claims. I learned about the management stuff that was going on. I was the parts manager at the time. And then I started getting into selling motorcycles because in the winter, especially, we would lay our salesmen off, right? Because it wasn't that busy. So me and his mom and him, he would come out of the service department. We would sell all the bikes in the winter. And then when the spring hit, I would concentrate more on the parts department, and he would bring salespeople in, and sometimes he would rehire people from before. So we had a great dealership. We always ran that shop kind of like I do today with Wingstuff, that it was all about people. We had donuts and coffee every single day of the week. We had people stop in, hang out, and it was like a bonding kind of place. It was a destination place. You could come to our dealership at any time during the week. Chances are half the parking lot had motorcycles, and they just went there just to go hang out. And that's kind of how I got my roots. I learned from all that, where I was a relationship kind of person anyway. And it really grew me as a person. It really, I made mistakes that I'll never make again. I learned a lot of things the hard way, and I learned from them. And it really gave me a good overall view on how to run a dealership, but more importantly, how to deal with people. And always would never push selling things as much as helping people. So I remember I was managing a dealership. By the way, I came to Rhode Island. There was a day that I came from Rhode Island. There was a day I said, I've been to California a couple of times on vacation, and it was tempting. And I said, boy, maybe I should try to get out of this cold weather. And that's another story. And I'll wrap that up right now, too, because after going on vacation to California a couple of times, I decided maybe in a year ahead that I was going to move to California because it was just something I wanted to do. I just wasn't satisfied staying in Rhode Island, and I loved California. So I sat down with my boss, who was like my dad, to be honest. And I had tears in my eyes, and he's like, "What's wrong?" He was all like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I said, "I'm thinking about moving to California." And he's like, "Well, what are you crying for?" I'm like, "How am I going to leave? I've been here for 10 years, 10, 11 years. And he was so nice. He was so unselfish. And to this day, I talk to him at least every month. I mean, we're so close. And that's the relationship we had at the time, and we still have today. And he said, "Rick, I know you love California. You're always talking about it. You need to do this. He goes, don't worry about us. We'll be fine. You could always come back here. This is your home." And that's exactly how it went down. And I joked with him. It's like, can't you try to talk me into staying? I mean, it's like, and he was very unselfish, and he supported it as much as he didn't want me to leave. And I was doing a lot for that dealership, and I learned a lot from him and his mom. And I moved to California in 1988, and I found a little Honda dealership in Southern California that I went to work for. And we sold tons of bikes, and the owner was into Goldwings, and it was like a marriage because I specialized in Goldwings back there. I didn't kind of highlight on that. Wingstuff.com specializes on Goldwings.
Yeah, I was going to ask did Wingstuff come about as a physical dealership first then?
So here's where I'm going with this. So when I moved from Rhode Island to California, I worked for them for 10 years and did very well. It was like being in Rhode Island. I was very close to the owner. We specialized in Honda Goldwings at the dealership in California. In Rhode Island, we specialized in a couple of things. We specialized in Goldwings, and I was the youngest guy you ever saw on a Goldwing. Trust me. I'd have my Led Zeppelin tape playing, and I'd be at a red light on this big Goldwing that, mostly older people would ride. And I'm like 19 years old. It's like, who is this kid? But anyway, when I was in California, let me finish with that. We specialized in Goldwings in Rhode Island at my original dealership, but we also focused and specialized in race bikes. My boss was an engine builder. He used to build some of the fastest engines for the street racers back there and all the clubs that were doing all the racing across the country. So my boss was really known for not only the exotic cars, which we ended up getting a Lamborghini franchise for, but he was building some incredible motors, port and polishing, and building all these race bikes. And I did the Goldwing side of it. And so I was that young guy that showed up at meetings that that would promote all this going stuff, and and I was very involved with the customers. And then when I decided to move to California and I came to this other dealership, that dealership specialized really in Goldwings more than anything else. And that's why it was kind of like a marriage. I was with them for 10 years, and then he decided to retire. That's how Wingstuff started. When he retired, he sold the dealership. I stayed on board. And when the new owner took over, I was in the midst of, I want to try to do my own thing. I just adopted my baby girl. She was a baby. We just adopted a child. My wife and I had just bought a house, had a lot going on, and my wife wasn't really on board at the time, to be quite honest. It was like, oh, Rick and Kathy, and they started. No, it wasn't quite like that. It was like me pushing the fact that I wanted to do my own thing, and it wasn't going over very well with my wife at the time because we had a new house, we had a new baby that we adopted, and I didn't let her down. I was really aggressive, proactive. I was at every meeting. I was at rallies. I was all over the place. And the local business, the local people really supported me and got me on my feet and gave me my good start. And then from there, I met a developer in San Diego, and we built this real good website. Because remember, the dealership had sold in California, and I decided I was going to do my own thing. I didn't have enough money for a brick and mortar building because I had just bought a house. I adopted a child. It's very expensive. You don't want to know what the adoption was. And I didn't have a lot of money at the time. So, basically my wife thought I was crazy, but she knew that, I had this passion and that I was going to give it everything, and I was not going to fail. And my mindset was I will do whatever it took to not fail. And I didn't. But it was scary at times. Trust me, you run out of money. It's scary. But anyway, so I ended up doing a website because I met a developer in San Diego, and he was fresh out of college, to be honest, young guy. And he was so good at what he did. And I told him my vision. I said, I want to create a website because I want to start my own Goldwing business, selling accessories, supporting the people that ride the bike, because I really love that market. And I love the bike. I love the people that ride the bike. And I said, but I want to create like a MySpace, because Facebook did not exist. 1988, Facebook wasn't around. And I described my dealership back home. I described the dealership in Southern California about how we had that camaraderie, and it was a destination store, and people would come in and we'd get involved with all the clubs. And I said, how do I do that online? How do I make everybody all over the world feel like they're part of my family? How do I pull that off? So we ended up creating a website with a social media core where everybody had a homepage, and it was just a couple of clicks. You put your email, you put your bike, and now you have a photo gallery that you can upload 12 of your most favorite photos. If you do a review on any of the products, that's when reviews were young. We started offering people to do product reviews from the beginning, and we were ahead of a lot of people. A lot of companies didn't even have that functionality because I wanted to know what they thought about the products. I wanted their feedback. It's all about my mindset. engagement. I want to know, I don't want to just sell things, you know? And so the product reviews just went crazy. Before we knew it, we had hundreds, thousands, and then tens of thousands. And the community part of it was really kicking in, which is how I did business anyway. I didn't read a manual. This is how I grew up, helping people, right? And so I really pushed that, and it separated me from everybody else out there because nobody else was doing it that way. And all of a sudden, everybody is like, who is this Wingstuff company? Because we were really starting to get a good grip on the market, and the website was getting big. I'd come home every night, and true story, coffee late at night, I'd be putting stuff up on that website. My friend and the person that was a developer, he taught me how to put products up, how to hyperlink, how to create navigation. I'm not a programmer, but I had to learn some of this stuff because to pay him to do this redundant stuff I was going to go broke. I didn't have the money. So he taught me how to do this. And I was using a program by Microsoft called Dreamweaver. And so Dreamweaver allowed me to have a GUI, like a pretty face on clicking things, and to actually do these ugly things that you would normally do in DOS. And I learned how to do that. And then later, Matt joined us and actually worked in our shipping department. And after a while, he said, I know how to do photography. I love photography. Maybe I can help you with the website. I was the only one doing the website at that time. And it was really hard. And that was a blessing. Matt just fell into it. And, he did not only a great job, but he loved what he did. And he was able to blossom. He was able to grow and learn and get better and get creative about doing all the things that he liked to do anyway, but it was what was needed for the company. So Matt just fell right into place. And, and again, it's that vibe. It's like, we're a family. It's like, so Matt fell into place. We had a few other people that joined us that have been with us still today for a long, long time. And that's just who we are. This is just.
And that was since 99?
1999 is when I first started wingstuff.com.
That's very early. Wow.
Yeah. And we had social media built into the site. So people would go to the site and, they could tell their friend, hey, check out my homepage. And you look at their account, their profile, and they have an avatar. They have a photo gallery. Any reviews on the website would show in their profile. And we had a blog that we had together. And if they made blog comments, it would show in their profile. And we gave people the ability to contact another member, but never see their email, and they never see your email. We built a contact manager. So we encourage people that if you can search, we have search ability on there. You could search people by city, by state, by country. And if you wanted to find out, you're looking at his photo gallery and the guy's got some chrome covers on the bike and you go, wow, those are beautiful. I don't know what those are though. I want to try to contact this guy. Well, this guy's in Italy. Guess what? You can. All you do is you go to the contact manager, you log into your profile. Now you're logged into the website and you go to his profile and you send him a message. And all of a sudden he gets a message that says from wingstuff.com. You've received a member message from wingstuff.com. He goes in, he reads the message. He can reply to that message through the contact manager. The guy never sees his email address. These guys can talk back and forth, ask questions, and he can ignore and not answer, or he can answer. And with our customers, they love their bikes as much as their wives. Maybe more, I hate to say that. And so these guys, all of a sudden on the back end, they're chattering, they're talking to each other. So it's kind of like, social media, right? They're meeting people.
That's right.
Yeah. And that really took off. So all these things together. Meanwhile, look at the outside world. Nobody is even doing this kind of stuff because this is how we want to do business. That's and right. Matt fell into that too. Matt's a passionate guy too. And so I surrounded myself with people that liked people, didn't mind answering phones, helping people. If you're grumpy, you don't want to work for Wingstuff. and there's probably something else out there that's going to make you happy. But it was kind of like surround yourself with people that like to do what you do, like to help people, and you're good. And some of the people didn't have experience, but within a year or so, when you do this every day, they know more about Goldwings than most people that ride Goldwings. So we're very on our game. We know our products. And if we don't know something, we'll find out. Our phone rings all day long and we hold people's hands and people ask for advice. They have problems. We help them. We have an incredible video series. We have many, many different series. We have Rolling with Rick, where I get up close and personal with people in the industry that maybe make the products that I sell to the customers. It could be just somebody that's interesting. I did a customer actually months ago. I was up in Washington State with Matt, and we did an interview with one of our good customers. We decided, let's offer one of our customers to be part of the Rolling with Rick video series. And it came out great. And we learned all about him. And we went for a ride. We sat down. We talked by a lake. And he was sharing about when he was in Japan and he was in the military and his motorcycle days. And it was just so interesting to get a real end user in that. And people really love that. And we do. So that's just one series. And we have
if I can ask, how did you handle the e-commerce end of this in the early days? I mean, there wasn't even the word e-commerce at that point. That's how early it was.
Well, so we're running the website in our company the way I'm describing, and we advertised in a couple of key magazines that were popular with these Goldwing people. Nowadays, magazines aren't that big of a deal to gain business, but in those days, magazines, people read them a lot. So I had some ads in the magazines. We were at all the rallies. We would go to the big rally once a year. We were all over the place. You saw us all over the place. Nowadays, we've kind of pulled the reins back, and we can do all of that from our corporate office here.
Right.
Most of our marketing is online now on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram. We do a great job with that. We always have live content. We're always changing it up. We're always trying to, create like the best images for our products. It's kind of like everything we do. We have a mindset. We're always trying to be the best we can be. And you're always trying to better yourself. And you're always trying to think of ways that you can give the customer a better experience and a better shopping experience on the website. So if you really take a good look at our website, it's got a lot of intuitive features that most sites don't have. It's very, very cutting edge as far as technology. And we've moved from our original platform that I described that my programmer built ago into a newer platform now that, we're in the cloud. We don't get credit cards anymore. We only get the last four numbers. We don't have any, security is like the best that we could, ever provide for anybody. We really have a state-of-the-art site as far as functionality, but we have all these features, and the way we do business is quite different than anybody else that I know.
So back in 2000, if I found you on you found your website, would I have to call and give you my credit card number and call?
Absolutely no.
I could do that back in 2000.
Listen, yeah, we built it. My programmer built checkout. He built, years later, I would have people, I'll say court me, because that's what it was. They'd call me up, from different internet companies, and they're like, hey, what shopping cart are you using? We'd like you to consider our shopping cart. It's like, my shopping cart. He goes, what do you mean my? And it's like, we built it. And they're like, what? Because, people were using, name brand carts, years later. So my developer built the checkout process. He built the credit card checkout with encryption, with security. Never had any problems. I mean, we were always really sensitive with security. We've never take shortcuts. So we've been very, very safe all these years because of that. And we built it. And then later, of course, we enhanced it to the point where about 4 years ago, we actually left our custom platform and we went over to another platform that was open source. That was basically, they did all that for us, and we could focus more on running our company. And that was a good decision. Many years ago, it was no problem. But in this day and age, with security and everything changing so fast, if you can get on a good platform that you can customize and you have a good developer, which I do, I still have a good developer, I can pretty much do almost anything I want if I wanted to customize something. So we're in a good place now. We don't really feel like we're in the web building business, because we were before. And now we focus more on the company. And it's really all about people, marketing, and giving them the best experience, both online and on the phone. So
it sounds like Ryzeo functionality has sort of enhanced your superpower. That is the passion as well as the community spirit, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I think, my description of that is you were able to fall right into place in what we were trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And you are, and you're the vehicle. You're the vehicle that is you're the bridge that is reaching and doing the things that we want to do. So yes, in a sense, you're right. Yes.
And you've also helped our email list grow. The screen popper that we developed, at launch. I mean, I don't have the number off the top of my head. I should have looked it up before, but I mean, it has grown the list like a good amount, from where it was.
Yeah, it's a convenient way for people to say, yeah, I'll join that. People don't have time. People are busy. They want to just get on and get off, or, so, it has to be easy. So when something like that, what Matt just described, it's just so simple. It's like, it pops up. It's like, yeah, okay, I'll fill it out. And once you do it, boom, it's never gonna bother you.
Thousands. It's grown thousands.
Yeah.
Oh, it has.
Of people.
Wow.
And whereas like the sign up, the regular sign up, it's on like the footer has got like, I don't even know if it hasn't hit 100 in 3 years.
Yeah, you're looking.
People don't go there. They don't see it, whatever. But that screen popper has been really key for growing our list for sure.
Yeah. As a customer, is your ambition when you come to my site to funnel around on the site and find out where you can sign up to join our site? No, not really. I mean, we want to make everything convenient. I mean, people do that, yes, but everything has to be convenient and easy. You just had to learn us. You just had to adopt us, per se, as your children, and figure us out. And once we lived in your house a while, you get to know what we did, and you could better help us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was one of the easiest experiences we've had with something like this, which can be complicated, really, right? I mean, marketing seems easy to some people, but it's not. I mean, there's so much nuance to a lot of the things we do. So you guys have been great, like I said from the beginning. And I credit Drew a lot with that, because he's been my main guy the whole time, main point of contact. So he's been awesome.
So in addition to the email list growing, did you actually see revenues growing as well?
Yeah, I mean, the conversions, I think we just went over that a few weeks ago. Yeah, like seeing the difference from like I said, implementing cart abandonment, or even just like page abandonment, search abandonment emails, reminding, nudging people, reminding people, like those are things that we never did in the entire existence of the company until 3 years ago. So those are definitely helping complete some orders that we were probably missing before, I'm sure. I mean, yeah, I know we were,